I'll just use first names. This is a story about Gary, who's been a good friend over the years, who was one of those genius guys, a literal genius. We were in the mall one time, and he wanted to play this intelligence game, and I thought, who would ever want to do that? And someone with intelligence, and he was just nailing all the answers, and we'd come to a science question. He said, "You took chemistry, didn't you? What's the answer to that?" And a lot of good times with Gary. He drove like a maniac. He's lucky to be alive, guardian angels. But Gary had a brother named Randy, and Randy was a podiatrist. He went through the military and got his degree. And before he was discharged, he was kind of evaluated as mentally ill. And the guys who do the evaluation was leaving. It was like his last week of work. So he basically set Gary's brother Randy in the military because the military couldn't admit that they ever let a crazy guy in. That's a quote. Set him up with what would be equivalent of $40,000 a year, and that enabled him to drink a gallon of vodka a day, not to be mistaken with the gallon of urine a day that his grandmother was producing upstairs at his father's house. His father never missed a day of work in 50 years. And some might say that I haven't done a day of work in 50 years. But the interesting thing about his father is he was also an alcoholic, but as long as he could work, then it didn't matter. He never did rehab. That generation never did. And never did counseling, never did AA. He just died of alcoholism. And when I was in AA, very briefly, the thing that I didn't like about it was their emphasis on kind of mind control and this big book by Bill W., who happened to have his revelation down in Akron, Ohio, which is where my dad lived. And it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. But if I were totally out of control, it would definitely be for me. And here, another infamous quote from Gary. I was talking to him about pornography, and I was saying, you ever think about cutting down on pornography? And maybe you're seeing too much pornography. Or I'll put it in the first person. I think I'm viewing too much pornography. And Gary laughed and said, "How much is too much pornography?" So that's the question. Some say 0,000, and yeah, maybe they're getting laid every other day, come sit on your face. But for the average male who is not getting laid every day and needs stimulus, it's a sad situation that you would have to use pornography. It's not meant to be that way. I mean, I did all of my life since I was 15. I don't so much anymore. I just like the lesbian movies. But I, like my good friend Trent, am basically impotent. Impotent? Is that how you say it? Impotent. We're impotent. And I'm from a chemical sort of castration. My medication of antidepressant, anafranil, and some other medications make it impossible to get an erection. And Trent is related to his prostate cancer, same deal. So my question is, why doesn't a third-time convicted sex offender, before he ever sees the light of day, get chemically castrated? The side effects are minimal, dry mouth, and some dizziness at first, but that all goes away. And it should be absolutely mandatory that a two-time convicted guy or woman, before they go out into public, need to be chemically castrated. oh, that would be against their civil rights. Well, fucking a child and then killing him is also against that child's civil rights. It's against that mother's civil rights. It's the same thing with the gun. There was another gun shooting in the South, and it's just making it absolutely sickening that the civil rights of victims of gun owners are superseded by the Constitution, Second Amendment, which was talking about fucking musket balls that take 50 seconds to reload. There's no doubt in my mind if there were assault rifles in that board who amended the Constitution, it would not be permitted as bearing arms. It would be permitted as bearing war. So, yikes. 6 minutes.